Hello and welcome to Fair Rugby on Fair Sport. Sorry for being a bit late. We've got a couple of technical difficulties with my audio at the moment, so I'm just trying to sort that out. Not entirely sure what's going on, so bear with me for a few minutes. Trying to try and sort all this out, and then yeah, we'll get stuck into it. But it's Georgia versus South Africa today. SA Under-20s are in action. There we go. That'll make it a little bit easier. But yeah, so we've got the SA, the junior box up against Georgia today. It's very much a bit of a dead rubber really for the junior box, who pretty much already qualified top of the log. So yeah, wholesale changes for Bafana Ntleku and his team. We'll go through the lineup right now. Anthems are currently underway, so we'll have a nice time, opportunity to have a look at the junior Springboks over there today. Right, so as I said, wholesale changes. One of the few players that are keeping a jersey are Hickliff and Bake there, number 13, the vice captain. Keep a lookout for him. But it's going to be Kian Mullen, Kerwin Kurtzer, Mambo Mkiza, Dalvin Blood, Thatcher, Ingomazelu gets his debut today. In fact, Nico Stay in the line scrum half, who's late into the squad, will start today. Ivan Esterhazen at number 8. Sia Ningiza, Reynard Mouton, well, the rest of the loose trio. In the locks, we've got Dylan DeLue and Reynard Roots. And we've got Sibosiso Shongwe, Jacques Hurson will captain the side today, and Nolan Pino will start at loose head. Off the bench, obviously, if you've been following the series, it's going to be a selection of any of these sort of players. They can use up to 8 players, but they can use anybody in their squad. So we could see Andre Hugo Fenter, Blaine Godlin, Corne Beelbach. They are the nominated front row, so those are the only players that can use in the front row. But then we've got Simon Miller, Renard Ludwig, Sasko and Lovu, George Cornier, the usual captain on the bench today, Bradley Davids, Bobby Alexander, Jordan Hendrickson, who has actually been named in the Lions squad to face the British House Lions this weekend. So one imagines that he will be joining up with them quite soon. Ethan James, Tyler Box, and Kieran Horn, the fullback, who's been very impressive as well in the opening few games. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what you think, if you've been following the series, what you think of the teams, who your players to watch today. Yeah, what's going on your side? Let me know where you're watching from. Yeah, I'm trying to get this audio sorted. I have no idea what's going wrong here. So apologies if it's not sounding great. I actually need to try and figure out if I can hear what it's going to sound like. Yeah, if you can let me know if it sounds all right, that would actually help. Moine Ferreira is the man in the middle today. Box in their white kick for a change, although it's not going to stay white for very long. The conditions are horrendous down in Stellenbosch. It's pouring with rain. It's muddy. There are already little puddles all over the field, so expect a very, very messy game, which will actually suit Georgia. We know Georgia, it's a bit of a precursor, I suppose, to what we'll see this weekend. Hopefully, as the Boks, in theory, return to international rugby up against the Georgia senior side on Friday. That's a little bit in the air at the moment with the Springboks having to cancel their media engagement for today. Still waiting the go ahead for what was going to happen from the medical committee at the moment. But in theory, we will have rugby back on Friday, and it will be the senior sides of the two players playing today. So a nice little, preview of what we could be seeing in the same sort of fixture in 5 years' time. Yeah. Kian Mullen is going to try and get the play underway, but he's trying to scoop up a solid piece of grass to kick off. And we've got kickoff here in Stellenbosch. It's a low kick as well, taken from Georgia. I mean, the condition, this field is a complete mess. And as you can imagine, the first thing Georgia do is go to the boot. Another junior box trying to keep it alive a little bit. Came up to the halfway line. Oh, and that's, I don't know if it's been knocked on there by me. Oh, he's through. Number 12. So number 2, there's Jacques Hurson. Number 11 gets the ball back inside, and it's knocked on, I think, by the Springboks. Nice little bit of play there. Early going down the blind side, immediately finding a bit of space was Hurson, the captain, who was through there. And I mean, jeepers, I would hate to play in this sort of condition. I mean, literally, it's raining, it's wet, it's muddy. This is not conducive conditions for rugby. But hey, number 11 there, Dalvin Blood trying to get the ball back inside. And the junior box knocking on. So we'll have our first scrum of the day. It's probably an area which the Georgians will try and target, actually. You know, they've always got a big pack. They're always very physical. So they'll be hoping that they can try and sort of put the box under a little bit of pressure earlier. But yeah, I mean, it should be an interesting game just in terms of the Georgia's been pretty poor since they've been down here. As a penalty to the Springboks. Sorry, it's a reset, actually. I don't currently have any audio at the moment, so I can't really hear the ref or anything. So we'll try and sort that out at half time. But yeah, I mean, it's as I said, for the Georgia, and I was speaking to the coach before, and he was saying they're just very excited to be back and playing rugby. You know, they said, you know, the results haven't gone their way, but they said they don't really care about the results. They said they're really chuffed to be here. They're really happy to be playing rugby again. And I think that we've got quite a good working relationship with Georgia, who are definitely up and coming rugby nation. But because we've seen, especially in under-20, they often seem to come to South Africa for these sort of preparation series and stuff like that. What's a huge scrum by Georgia, goodness me. And they're still going. They've won about 10 meters and they've driven the junior box back. That is an absolute monumental effort by the Georgians. And this is what I said. This is what we can expect on Friday as well. Because, yeah, I mean, the Georgians, they're not known for being particularly well skilled or anything like that, but they do bring a very, very big pack, and they love just playing very tight, you know, 10-man rugby where they're just going to try and bully the other sides. And look, the junior box were definitely bullied there. Another set piece here for Georgia, their first line of the day, the first line of the day. And it's a solid win for them. Number 9 goes straight to the boot here, raising it up nice and high. Nice tester. It's well taken there. I think that's Ngumazelo. No, sorry, it's the number 11, Delvin Blood. And I think there's another knock on there. There's a penalty. Penalty to Georgia. I'm not sure what the penalty's for. That's 2 penalties in short succession for the junior box. And the Georgia will now kick to the corner. They had a nice line win. They looked like it operated pretty well. And if you can get your set pieces right, that's half, you know, that's a big part of the game. Won already. If you can make sure that your lineout's working, if you can dominate the scrum, that goes a long way to winning a match. Obviously, you obviously have to defend well and still have to be able to attack. But especially if you can get that scrum right, that first of all becomes a massive opportunity to attack from. But it also is a point scoring machine, because if you can get penalties inside your own half, as Georgia goes short and lose it, bit of miscommunication there between the hooker and the line-out jumper, as the line-out jumper went up as the hooker went through it short. Knocked back there from the junior box. We're going to see a lot of handling errors in the next sort of hour and a bit. I'm prepared for it, because as I said, the conditions are terrible. Goes to the boot, does Nico Stain. Not a great touch finder. I think it was actually charged down a little bit. It'll be a line up to the junior box. So Jacques Hurson will try and find number 5, which is Dylan DeLue. What is going on with these lineouts? Even that was almost like popped inside. It was a good take in the end by DeLue. But 2 very messy lineouts so far. And the Georgia number 3 is all over that ball, and he's won another penalty. So the junior box have not quite pitched up at the moment, and Georgia have won their 3rd penalty in the first 5 minutes. Tight head there for Georgia, getting straight over that ball. Nobody even attempted to move him. So very, very sloppy early on from the junior box. Not a good start at all. And Georgia find touch just inside the 22, so a nice opportunity here for them to attack and try and take first blood. Yeah, poor cleaning out by the junior box. Number 3 gets over there. He's a very, very big man. All right, here comes the Georgia rolling more. The number 5 goes up and takes a cleanie. There comes the more. Taking a while to set up, but now starting to get a little bit of go forward. The lockers urging them through, putting them through. They are making ground steadily. Progress is slow, but there is progress. Now they've peeled off to the right-hand side. Will it be available? Yes, it is. It's a nice maul there from Georgia. They came on for about 10 meters short. Ball's popped off to the side, and it's been knocked on. So, got an advantage to the junior box. Just a knock-on advantage. So, Nico Stain will go back to his far half. He goes to the boot. It's very low, and it's been misread there by the Georgian. I think it's the number 9 there at the back there, or 14. Yeah, I mean, all the kicks have been pretty low. You can see that the conditions are really starting to factor in there. They can't get really good contact on the ball. You've got somebody limping here for the junior box, the number 7, which is Cian Giza. So messy opening 6 minutes as we kind of get, and then, yeah, get used to it because it's going to be a very messy game throughout the entire 80 minutes. But promising early signs for Georgia. It's another solid line-out win for them. Here we go. No, I thought we were going to go to a back line, but it's another forward. They're number 8. He carries the ball up. It's a very strong carry from him. Now the hooker. Here we go. You actually see if Georgia does have a back line. We gotta watch the game. The game's being shown on Supersport 211. That's the far as I know. That's the only broadcast. I haven't heard them showing it anywhere else in and around the world. I'm not entirely sure, but in South Africa, it's being shown on Supersport. A bit of a kicking battle here. It's not a great kick. The Georgia number 9 brings us forwards into the play. A bit of an overlap here for Georgia. Number 14 cuts inside. Now Georgia going off to the left. Here we go. A bit of space for number 11 to walk in. Solid tackle on him by the fly half. It's Ungozelo. Another big carry from the number 3. He's been very good so far in the early stage. Won a penalty. Very big in the scrum. Georgia with a penalty advantage now, so it's another penalty conceded by the junior box. That's the 4th penalty so far. This is a very kickable position, so I think we're going to see Georgia. No, they're going to go for the corner. No, they will be going for the corner. I was about to say, it looked like they pointed towards the corner, which I thought would have been a strange decision, but they do go for the points, and it could be first blood to Georgia, which would be very much deserved if they do get it. They have been very good in the opening. In the junior box, just far too many penalties being conceded. Look, Andrew, there's no free way to watch it, the only problem. So if you're in Russia, you can access DSTV now using a VPN like ExpressVPN. We've got a link in the description for that. But you'll have to go and it's not a free subscription, so you have to subscribe to DSTV now to be able to watch it. So unfortunately, there's no free link or anything like that. Salvis says Komboki's discipline. Yeah, well, it's been horrendous. It's been non-existent so far. And the number 10 slots it. Oh, it comes off the post. Looked like a good kick, but off the post. And now Unguzulu will pump it downfield. And I've lost connection on my thing, so that's always useful. And we're back. No, we're not back. Oh, even my DSTV is cutting out here. I'll bring it up another one here. So it'll be another line for Georgia, just outside the 22. Another solid win there, this time from the number 5 from Georgia. And they'll get another rolling more going. So far, the pack is doing everything for Georgia as we expected, but definitely building the box. They've got another penalty advantage here. Penalty number 6 for the bottom, number 5, I think. It's a big maul there. They're well inside the 22 from Georgia. It's a nice front foot ball available for them. Rush to stance from Nguzulu. And they'll go back for the penalties. So the junior box just haven't been in this game at all so far. They've conceded penalty after penalty. Georgia's still struggling to make their turn that into points, but they've been, territory-wise, I reckon we're probably sitting at about 90-10 because apart from those first 2 minutes, we've literally spent the entire game inside not only the junior box half, but pretty much in the 22. Alexander Bedeli is the Georgia captain, the number 4. It's a messy win, but they do win it. So it's available for Georgia right in the 22. Solid carry there, making up a few meters. Now little kick over the top. Gonna run too far, and they'll go back for. I think they had a penalty advantage to Georgia. No, they didn't. So it will be a 22 restart for the junior box, and a little bit of an opportunity for them to try and pump the ball downfield, because at the moment they've been comprehensively out bullied by Georgia in the opening sort of 12 minutes. So hopefully they can try and rectify that, because it's not been a good start at all. Georgia returning the favor, which means the junior box will have another line inside their half. Messy win there by the box, and the Georgia have got it back. No, never mind, spilled out the other side. So Giza will now try and run it out for him. It's a big hit on him by the Georgia number 6. Junior box still pegged inside their own 22. Nico Stain now shaping up for the box kick. Not looking to find touch. And it does run into touch eventually. So they're still only in half of the junior box. They've gone up to about 5 meters before the halfway line. The Georgia line up there, so they still haven't under a little bit of pressure. Haven't had any of the ball at the junior box, and they have. It's been inside their own 22 and just trying to sort of clear their line stuff like that. But so far, it's literally just been all one-way traffic, and it's the men in red who have dominated the opening sort of 15 minutes. The messy line out there for Georgia, but they do win it. Georgia number 8 once again carrying it up. And a penalty for the junior box, their first penalty of the day. It's the number 8 that was all over that. It's very, very well played by the junior box. Under a lot of pressure, and they finally will be able to get themselves back into decent territory. It's Esterhazen that won the ball on the ground. And for the first time in the match, almost 40 minutes in, the junior box will actually be able to try and get themselves into Georgian territory and put them under a bit of pressure. But it's a very good opening pass from Georgia. But unfortunately, you've got to try and take your points. There's no point having a start like that where you, and that's a mistake from the junior box. Oh, it hasn't been. Gordon, we thought he managed to keep it inside and prevent it from going out, but it has been judged. I think it was Footlands on the line at the time, so it will be a junior box. Put him in. I mean, you've got to take your chances. There's no point having periods like that as Georgia if you can't, take the points, because that's just, might as well not have it. If that had gone over and they got the 3 points, it would have been a nice reward. But they'll take promising signs from the first 50 minutes. Oh, it's a big carry off the Gerson off the back of the scrum. It's a nice big hit on him by Georgia number 6, and another big tackle by him. Right, now Van Wyk. Rush defense from Georgia, but he still managed to make a few meters, hand off a couple of players. He eventually getting it down. Giza, who carries it up. Now the junior box number 6. That's Reno Mouton. Moving towards the right-hand side. One inside the 22. They're about 10 meters out. Ngoma Zulu. The solid carry by the fly half. But it's been knocked on by the junior box. Another mistake. A very, very messy opening period continues, and we'll have another scrum here. Last time we had a scrum, and it was a similar position on the other side of the half, of the field, and the Georgian pack decimated the pack, and that's what got them into that 10-minute period where they were sitting inside the junior box territory. So I'll be very interested to see how the scrum goes, because at the moment the box are being just comprehensively outbullied. Now, Georgia number 12, he's a very, very big chap, getting his hands all over that, forcing a knock on from the junior box fly half. And in the pissing rain, 5 penalties to 1 so far. We will have another scrum. I think this is also some of the problems when you make wholesale changes to a side. It takes a while for them to sort of gel together. And the junior box at the moment looking a little bit shell shocked, a bit like that Uruguay game where it took a while for them to get going. And it's another big scrum from the Georgians. They've got a penalty advantage. So it hits there, but they've got a penalty, so they'll go all the way. They'll go back there, and Georgia will be able to pump themselves back out of pressure. Well, junior box front row is going to have to try and shore up because at the moment they are being absolutely decimated by the Georgian front row. There's some very, very big boys here, are the Georgians. We always know that, and you can expect the same thing on Friday night with the Springboks on the senior side. It's not a good kick though from Georgia, so they've kept us alive of the junior box. Number 14, Cohen Kurtzer, who goes on an initial run. But he's isolated, and it's another penalty from Georgia. The number 6, who's made two or three very good tackles, now winning a turnover, and Georgia just can't do anything wrong. That's the 6th penalty that the junior box have conceded. Currently averaging a penalty every 3 minutes, basically. This is impressive from Georgia. They've really struggled. I mean, they got absolutely decimated by Argentina, and you can see kind of lack fitness, kind of like match intensity. They were better against Uruguay. They did go down to Uruguay, which they wouldn't have wanted to. But Uruguay's not a bad side. They've got a very good junior setup. Years ago, Uruguay were a half decent side. So good to see that rugby's on the up over there. But yeah, trying to keep it safe and sorry rather there was the Georgian flower half. So they've found touch just inside their own half. It's contested by the junior box, who win it back. It's available for junior box, who kick it through, kicking behind, trying to play a bit of a territory game, but it's been marked by Georgia. Look a little bit ideal. Headlights through the junior box at the moment. It hasn't been a particularly good start. A couple of areas, a couple of people just trying to do too much at the moment. Just simply need to settle things down a little bit. As Georgia go deep with the restart on the 22. Ngozulu tips ahead. It's very well read from Georgia there. It's available. They're inside their own half. Shaping up for the box kick is the number 9. He does put the boot. There's nobody home. Good tracking back from Nico Stain, I think it is the man who's called the mark. And he'll now pump this downfield off his left foot. Doesn't find a great amount of touch. No, he does actually. It's a very nice clearance. They will restart with play right inside the Georgia half on the right hand side of the park, just inside their territory. Messi is the first 20 minutes. I mean, I think it's Super Cecil Strongwear there, whose shirt and stuff might have been white once upon a time, but it's not white anymore, and I don't think it'll ever be white. So another line-out check from the Georgia. The last one with the junior box winning it. As I said, territory 73% in Georgia's favor at the moment. It's a messy line-out win, but it is available for them. Another big carry from the Georgian tight head. Almost one on the ground there from the junior box. You've knocked it on in the process. And that's a high tackle from the looks of it. Oh my goodness. I tell you what. It's difficult to try and sort of say that the Springboks are the favourites here, because at the moment, they're penalty after penalty after penalty, mistake after mistake. And Georgia are staying alive simply through the errors of the South Africans. There's some Wobble Mkhize there at that time, causing a mistake. High tackle from him. Got a time off here, I think. We still got time off over yet. Not a great tackle there by the number 12. Mkhize, the man who's been guilty. Right, so eventually have play restarting here. Georgia number 10 will try and find territory. He kept it very, very short last time in order to make sure that he found touch. And that's not a good touch finder as well. Junior box kept inside. and dabbed over the top. Let's turn the Georgia 15, but it will run too far, so he'll just be able to dot it down. They'll start with a 22. So it's just mistake. As I think, the mistakes keep creeping in for the junior box. Kind of just need to keep the ball in hand a little bit, you know, see what it feels like, see what it looks like, run a couple of phases, and just sort of play a bit of rugby. Yeah. How's it, Sean? Good teaser video for the Lions tour. Thank you very much. Good thing the SA government is letting sport go ahead. Yeah, so it was nice. We saw the Gazette this morning. So we'll be able to go ahead. We're still waiting to see time-wise whether we're going to be able to if they're going to be able to push the curfew, for example, or whether they're going to have to bring the kickoff times earlier because curfew is now 9 p.m. Across the country, which means that 7 p.m. kickoffs won't really work unless they get special dispensation. I mean, originally the Saturday games for the British Lions were actually scheduled to start at 8, I think, SA time. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with the timing. Also, a few rumors that there will be a potential reshuffle of the games and might it looks like the tour will stay in Johannesburg for the first part, but they might shuffle the latter stages of the tour to stay in Cape Town depending on how the cases go. But much better from the junior box there. After the 22 restart, they kicked in behind and they put Georgia under pressure with a line out inside their own territory. They try to contest it. It's messy, but Georgia do come away with it. To number 9, he's had quite a good start, and he's down the line side here. Number 11 cuts inside. Doesn't really have anywhere to go, so eventually takes it into contact. Georgia lose the safety to 22, though. Here come the forwards. It's number 5. It's a big run from him. He makes a few meters. And it's another penalty. That's from the side. It's Shongwe. It's poor. Such a needless penalty there. I mean, Georgia pinned all the way back in their own half under quite a lot of pressure. And Super Seas with Shongwe has come straight in from the side, conceding another penalty. And if I'm the referee, I'm saying, listen, you conceded almost 10 penalties in 21 minutes. Another one. And we're going to have to look at a card here because it's just the discipline is absolutely atrocious from the junior box. Georgia finding touch just inside their own half. They're right up at the halfway line. Now, the junior box get to halftime without a yellow card. I'd be very surprised because their discipline has been absolutely nowhere. The line is about number 45 at the moment for Georgia. Go to the front. Messi again, but they do win it. The scrum-off's caught on it by the number 8. That's Esther Hazen from South Africa. Came on to good effect against Argentina last week. A big hit on Georgia there by a couple of South African players driving them back. South Africa kicking in behind, trying to play a bit of a territory game. The ball will run out, so that's better from the South Africans. That's what they need to do, just calm things down, play a bit of a territory game, kick in behind. I'd like to see them keep the ball in hand at the moment, but territory will also put the Georgians under pressure, but there's no point trying to push them under pressure. Look, at the moment, at least the Lions are becoming competitive, but if you're going to try and play a territory game, you've got to keep your discipline because all we're doing at the moment is kicking in behind, forcing a line out, and then conceding a penalty. In which case, Georgia can just kick their way out of trouble every single time. So play the territory game by all means, but Georgia going short this time. It's a solid line win there. This number 3 is ginormous. Another carry by him. Xavier for the box kick here. Giza mistiming his run there. Got a decent angle as the Georgians come off. He does find touch. Very nice touch find to him by him. Actually gets up to the 10-meter line. Junior box think you're taking it quickly, but they don't. So it's a nice clearance from Georgia. So the junior box will have a line out inside Georgian territory, a rare opportunity for them to attack because they've had very, very little of the ball so far. Territory-wise, it's been all one-way traffic. And let's see what the junior box can conjure up here. Still 0-0 here, 24 minutes played. Down there in Stellenbosch, a very, very wet Stellenbosch. And that's a line out lost by South Africa. They just can't do anything right. Poor lineup from them, and Georgia are right back on it. They drive up to past the 10-meter line. Some very nice carries early on. Now looking to go for the box kick, trying to play a bit of a territory game of their own. It should be quite a contestable kick. He's gone very high as the Georgian scrum off. It's a good take underneath from the junior box, but under good pressure from the Georgian number 14. And they're coming through and disrupting the ruck, so it's very good from Georgia. The junior box do come away with it though. Good defense by Georgia. They pinned the Springboks back just between the 22 and 10 meter. Rush defense has meant that they won't break the gain line as well. Now Nick Steyn looking to use his left foot and try and put Georgia under some pressure of their own. It's a very contestable kick. It's been knocked forward from Georgia, so we'll restart with the scrum, which will actually be a good, it's a penalty and a penalty. And there we go. Hands in the ruck is the call. Pity, because I think for Georgia, because if they've gone to the scrum, they've been winning the scrums here. But hands in the ruck there, so junior box will now have an opportunity to kick towards the corner. But they just need to calm things down, just need to take a little bit of a breath. Keep things simple. I mean, they got themselves in a good position. They lost the lineup. They've conceded about 7 or 8 penalties so far. A very, very messy performance in very messy conditions. So the junior box will have a line out just by the 22. They go up. That's a solid win from them. Not looking to start on the line, but that's a horrible ball to Nick Steyn. Who now pass. It's a nice pickup there from Esther Hazens. All very, very sloppy from the junior box. Very sloppy ball. Good counteract from Georgia. It's been knocked down. Giza now cleans up. He makes a few meters. It's a nice carry by him. Nick Steyn now looking towards the blind side. Giza, a little bit flat-footed. But having said that, he's in and around, and the junior box are over. Something out of nothing. There was just no defense down that blind side, and Delvin Blood goes over for the first try of the day. Harsh on Georgia, but where was the defense? They've been solid all day, and Delvin Blood kind of just looked up, and there was just nobody down the blind side. Hasn't had too much to do, Delvin Blood. Pretty much been sitting under a lot of high balls there, but the first time he's had the ball in a decent position, he does make Georgia pay, and that's a good lesson to the Georgia, because you can't, you can, after 26 minutes, after having all the opportunities, not be able to take points, the junior box with a rare opportunity. I mean, it was very, very lateral, but there was just so much space out wide. The number 14 coming inside, and Delvin Blood was away. Absolutely nobody at home. Easy as you like. He goes through straight up underneath by the pole, so it should be a very straightforward conversion as well. And the junior box don't deserve to be in front, but they are. The extra 2 is on the board. 7-0 after almost 27 minutes. Down in Stellenbosch. Sean Farrell, do you think there should be a Southern Hemisphere version of the Lions? Absolutely not, because then we'd have to associate ourselves with those bloody Australians. So I'm out for that. Yeah, I mean, people have talked about it. I don't really think so. I don't like the idea of us having to go and play with Australian stuff. Like, I think the British and Irish Lions is cool, but I think there's a certain amount of a lot of history there in the UK. Whereas there's just so much pity history between us and Australia and Argentina. I mean, they were miles apart, so like practically it would be a disaster as well. Oh, it's a restart grubber from Georgia, and it's Giza there making it the first carry. Now Nick Steyn kicking in behind, trying to turn the Georgian backs, which he has, but the ball bounced in field. And it's stumbled by the number 15. It's not a great place to go over. So the junior box come piling in, but they've won. They've conceded another penalty, had the junior box. I've never seen such an ill-disciplined performance in the first half an hour. I mean, the penalty count must be sitting at about 10 by now. It's actually unbelievable. As I said, how they haven't actually had a yellow card, I'm very surprised, because they're conceding penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty. Yeah, the Sharks have announced their side. Cohen Bosch back in the starting lineup there. Okay, Abraham's also back. It's interesting. We will be live tonight for our news show, so you can come hang out at about 8:30 South African Standard Time. We're chatting about the Lions. Oh dear, it's a horrible mishap there from Georgia, who, after winning the line out, the scrum off slipped, but they've actually won it back in a decent position, so they're back on the halfway line. Another big burly carry from them, getting into the junior box half. Rush defense from the Springboks. Junior box. It's a nice carry them on the number 10. They have been pinned back a little bit into their own half. The number 9 just marshalling things. He's actually been quite solid. Apart from that that slip, there's the number 3. Japers. He is ginormous. Makes some good meters once again. The forwards carrying up from Georgia. Bit of space down the right-hand side for them. They go to all the way in the back. And they kick towards the left-hand side, spotting a little bit of space. Bounces quite favorably, and I think they had an advantage to Georgia. So that's another penalty from the junior box. And if I was the ref, I'd be looking going towards the card because it's been a messy, messy 30 minutes. You can't afford to have this many penalties being given away. And for the Georgia, I mean, they coached through kicking themselves. They have had this many penalties, this many opportunities to try and get themselves in a decent position, and yet they can't get any points on the board. Number 11 now taking over from the kicking duties. He finds touch. Not a great kick. It's not too bad. Just outside the 22 are Georgia. So they have another opportunity. They have 10 minutes now to try and bash it up and use their fridges and buses to try and break past the advantage line. But it's been a very, very scrappy half. Number 3 from Georgia has been immense. Made a lot of carries. Has been very good in the scrums. Solid winning there from Georgia to try and get the rolling more going. And that's going. It's going. They're well into the 22 now. Available for the scrum off, but they're not going to use it anytime soon. They're still going, still going. Breaking off to the left, and they're still going. This is brilliant from the Georgians. They're still going. It's not stopping. Number 2's controlling it brilliantly. They've got an advantage as well. It has gone down, but they're up to about just behind the 5 meter. Pick up and go. Solid carry. They're literally on the 5 meter now. Very, very good understanding of the game. They picks up and go, and they're now within 2 meters of the try line, Georgia. A lot of forwards there, and they'll go back for the penalty. And yeah, the referee's had enough. Surely, number 6 is going to go into the bin. It's been horrible from the junior box. The discipline's been horrendous. And after all those penalties, somebody had to go. And it's the number 6, Reynard Mouton, who will spend the next 10 minutes in the bin. And Georgia, who had a phenomenal rolling maul there, will be able to set one up right on the 5 meter and have a real go at the junior box just 9 minutes before half time. They're going for the scrum. That's actually a very good call. Very good call from Georgia. They've had 2 immense scrums, and they have very good rolling maul. The South African forwards under a lot of pressure at the moment, and they need to front up at the end of the day. You know, you can't be dominated like this for the rest of the match if you want to try and win it. So on the 5 meter, right on the right-hand side there for Georgia, they'll have their 3rd scrum of the day. And that's a huge scrum. They're going. Penalty to South Africa. I'm not quite sure what that's for. They're saying wheeling is the call. I think that's very, very harsh, actually. I find it so frustrating when you watch a scrum and you can see one team completely decimating the other one. They're saying it's turning. I think you've got to know the whole earn the right to turn, which I never really understand. I mean, just because one person, one-on-one is going all right and they're holding up and the other person is completely dominated, you're still being dominated. You know? So it's a harsh penalty in my opinion. But the junior box get away with that. They kick downfield. They're still down to 14 men for the rest of the half in the first 1 or 2 minutes of the second half. I mean, it is wheeling, but I mean, the South African scrum was just crumbling there. So I think it's a harsh call. Another line out here for South Africa. Number 5 goes up. It's Reynard. No, sorry, that's Dylan DeLue. The Maltese man. They've got an advantage. I think it was sacked early there. Zulu puts it through. It's all a bit messy at the moment. They'll go back for the penalties. So, junior box with 14 men winning back-to-back penalties, which is nice and useful. So, Nico Steyn or Nguzulu will pump the ball downfield. And if you should be a pair of territory game here, see how the rest of the half get to the dressing room, have some oranges. Number 15 there. Ian Meehan looking like he's in a different team to the South Africans. Very nice white kit for him. Everybody else is pretty much the color of the field, which is a really, really muddy brown. It's almost becoming difficult to tell the teams apart, with Georgia playing in a very dark sort of maroon strip and the Springboks just so muddied up at the moment. 10 penalties conceded by the junior box to 4 from Georgia. It's a messy line of win. Nico Steyn does very well to get away from a couple of players. Goes himself inside. Gets wrapped up by the number 3 from Georgia, who I think has probably been the player of the half. Nice pick up and go there. I think it's Shongwe. Now Nico Stain dabbing it over. They've got a penalty advantage, looking to try and play a bit of a territory game. Delvin Blood's tearing after it, but it rolls into touch. So they'll go back for the penalty. So the high tackle is the penalty call. So now the Georgian penalty count rising a little bit. They've moved to 5 free penalties in the last few minutes. The junior Springboks, still since going down to 40 men, have actually managed to get into the game a little bit more. Almost to go to half time. They've just updated the clock. I don't quite know where we lost 2 minutes, but hey. So apparently there's 3.5 minutes left to go. Decision time for the junior box. The ball has been left behind. What's happening here, people? Waiting for the kicking tee, I think they were. Yeah, it's Kean Meaden. I think that's a sign of respect to the Georgians because the junior box been under a lot of pressure and they're going to go for the 3 points here and try and put some scoreboard pressure on, just get some points going because they've struggled to break down this Jordan defense. Apart from literally that one instance where the try where Delvin Blood went through and it was just horrible defending by the Georgians. It actually has been very solid. They've been outplayed on most fronts. The lineups have been pretty decent up until about the last 10 minutes where they became a little bit messy, but the scrums have been going one way, and that's not in the way of the box. They've been seeing a lot of penalties, and Meaden, is that even going to have enough on it? No, it drops literally right underneath the poles, so yeah, they actually didn't have the distance. Now George number 14 pumps that downfield, and that's been knocked on from Ngumzulu. So we'll go back through the knock on there. So it's a nice result for Georgia. They have a scrum just inside their own half. Ngumazulu, the number 10 that knocked it on there, raises his hand to apologize to everybody. On debut today for the junior box. Just takes his eye off it right at the last minute. It is very wet, so it is very difficult. But I mean, in these conditions, when it's wet, you've got to make sure you're even more accurate. You know, be very sure of your positioning and your hands and stuff like that. You can't afford to take your eye off the ball when it's wet. So another opportunity here from scrum. They've won all 3 of their scrums, have Georgia. And they've won them very dominantly. So it's a big moment here for the front row. They will play it down on the junior box in the scrum. So that weight advantage which Georgia has will be even more at the moment. Messi, but the Georgians have it available. They kick him behind, spotting a little bit of space. There's no penalty there. And it's the fullback Meaden who cleans up. It's a solid tackle him from the Georgia number 13. Going on the blind side, they kick ahead. Ball just sort of fizzling down because of the wet conditions. But there's been kicked ahead again by Nico Stain, who eventually gets bundled towards the touchline, but they do manage to keep it inside with the junior Springboks. Gizi with a nice carry there. Stain now deciding to go down the blind side. Inker van Wyk, we've seen very little of him. He was very good last week against Argentina. He hasn't had much of the ball today. Pick up and go there from Esterhazen. They get themselves into the 22. Wilson now the captain for today. It's a big hit on him, but it's a solid carry. It's available there for Nico Stain. He brings his 2 front rowers into the game. And they've got a penalty advantage to the junior Springboks, so they can do what they want. Nguzulu kicks over the top. It's well read, so they'll go back for the penalty. Much better from the junior Springboks. 6 spaces in that attack, keeping it a little bit more simple. A couple of pick up and goes. That's what you got to do in the wet conditions. Nothing too fancy. You know, just solid pick up and goes. Get somebody with a support runner. You can make sure they can win the ball back. You give yourself a nice platform. And just grind them down. You got a man in the bin, so there's no need to rush. Get to the corner here and take a line out is got to be the decision here. Yep, Meaden kicks into the corner, and the junior box will have the Huta's actually gone. So this will be the last play of the day, of the half. But they'll have an opportunity here to try and get some points on the board. If they can get a try here, it'll be a very flattering score because they haven't been good. Have the junior box in the first half. They've got a man in the bin though, so they can score a try with the man in the bin. That'll be a nice result. But they really do need to go into halftime and have a rethink because at the moment they've been very poor, and that's been sacked illegally. So they've got a penalty to the junior box. Esterhazen is ready there to go. Nico Stain takes the penalty quickly. Gets pulled back by the referee. Now he takes it quickly again. Verse number 12. Oh, it's a big hit on him. Keys there. Now the front row there from the junior box. They're up to the 5-meter line. Pick up and go. Another pick up and go for Inker van Wyk. He gets within 2 meters. Another pick up and go. Solid defense by Georgia. They're right by the poles. They pick up and go, but he's driven back. Still going on the junior box. They're right on the tie line. But so far, very good defense from the Georgians. But they've got the try. They've gotten over. Very, very well worked. I think it's Estes, and can't see actually. I think it's Henk van Wyk who's being congratulated. It is Henk van Wyk. He's had very little to do, but he's the man that gets the ball over. Nice and quick. Was very, very quick to see the bit of a gap there. And just the reaction there from Georgia, a little bit slow in comparison. So he goes over and scores the second try of the match. Junior box move up to 12 points after what's been a horrendous first half. Was very impressive against Argentina, as we said, was Henk van Wyk, and he's got an early try today. The vice captain for today, lines outside centre, very highly rated, man from Monument. And Kian Meaden will have a chance to try and extend the lead to 14 before they go and have a couple of oranges and assess what just happened. And what just happened was a pretty messy, dirty, ill-disciplined half where they still have a 14-point lead. So Georgia will be frustrated they didn't take their chances. As Meaden slots that with no issues there. So we'll take a quick break. I'll try and sort out my audio a little bit. And we'll return in about, hopefully 5 or 6 minutes. We will come back and we can have a look at that first half and get ready for what's probably going to be another messy second half in a very wet and cold Stellenbosch. Please do smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in a few. Right, hello everybody and welcome back. I fixed my audio, thankfully, I think. I'm hoping. So let me know if it's sounding a little bit better than it was in the first half. Halftime score here in Stellenbosch, 14 points to 0. Junior Box up against Georgia. It's not been a particularly good first half. Not one that you're going to ride home about. So far, not a game that you're going to remember for too much longer. But it is what it is. It's rugby. It's the juniors. It's a very much a rotated side. So I suppose, we can kind of expect a little bit of rustiness with a lot of these players. Some of these players on debut. Some of these players haven't had a lot of opportunity to play rugby at all in the last sort of, 18 months really, almost these days. So, I suppose you sort of think about that and then remember that and you kind of understand why some of the players are a little bit rusty, but it hasn't been a particularly impressive performance. Most of this now, I mean, it's all sort of eyes on the semi-finals and what will be the final. We're kind of expecting it to be a South Africa versus Argentina final. I'm just trying to find the fixture to find exactly when that will be. Here it was. So yeah, the finals will be on Saturday. So 1 o'clock will be Team 1 versus Team 2. So whoever finishes first and second on the log, it's currently Argentina versus South Africa, so it should be South Africa versus Argentina, 1 o'clock on Saturday, unless Uruguay pull off something against Argentina in the game after this, which I don't see him happening. But yeah, so if that happens, then it will be South Africa versus Argentina on Saturday at 1 o'clock in the Under-20 series final down in the Makata Fields down in Stellenbosch at Paul Roos. We'll try and be live for this game. We're trying to sort of sort out what's going to happen this weekend. We've got quite a lot of rugby on. So we need to try and sort of see who's available for when and how we're going to work it all out and stuff like that. Because that's the... And, so yeah, I mean, lots to plan. But kickoff is almost underway here in the second half. Georgia playing left to right. In fact, the kickoff is going, so they've got to play underway. And the junior spin box with a man in the bin. I think I actually forgot to add that. So we've got a man in the bin for the junior box. The left to right will be Georgia. It looks like it's a little bit light. I think the sun might be coming out a little bit down there. And won't make any changes to the conditions whatsoever. It's too muddy down there. But it's an early knock on there. So we start with a Georgia scrum. Couple of replacements on here. Looks like 2 new locks. Very easy to sort of spot the replacements because they're in a very white kit whilst everybody else is in a very muddy kit. But we've got Andre Hugo Fenters on the field as well. It looks like it's Blaine Golden, I think, who's on there as well. 2 new locks as well. Simon Miller. I think it's Renard Ludwig as well who's potentially on. It still is raining. It probably looked a little bit lighter, but it is still raining, so the conditions have not improved at all. And for the Georgia Army, I'm hoping that they can have a reset here. Look, I mean, this is good for the box. So they've got 11 seconds left in the other cards. So the number 6 who went to Bernard Mouton will be able to come on pretty soon. But I'm hoping that Georgia will be able to get some points on the board because they deserved it in the first half. Some of them were very, very impressive. And I think that they're taking the opportunities. I mean, they missed a kick which came off the pole. They had a lot of opportunities there. They had a scrum penalty, which I thought was a bit rough against them. So it will be a Georgia scrum just inside their half between the 10-meter and the halfway line towards the left-hand side of the field. Looks like another big shove there from Georgia. But it looks like it's a bit of a tight hit from the junior box. And they've won a penalty. Once again, it's wheeling around as the call. And the junior box taking it quickly. They've gone on themselves to just the 22. They've got a penalty advantage as well for not 10. Andre Hugo Fenter takes it up. His first carry of the day. And I thought it was one on the ground for Georgia. Henk van Wyk now. It's a big hit on him. And that's put Nico Steyn just fumbling the ball there. They'll go back for not being in 10. So number 19 now onto the field. That's the yellow card replacement. So it looks like Renard Mouton will not be coming back on, but the junior box back to a full contingent. That's George Cornier, the captain who's back is on the field, given a rest today. Contracted at the Cheetahs, the number 19. And Kian Meaden's going to have a kick at goal here early in the second half. He had a very big one last in the first half, which fell short right underneath the crossbar. So a nice result here at the junior box and just get the scoreboard kicking a little bit. It's difficult kicking conditions, very, very wet in the foot. Difficult to sort of be able to plant that left foot and really be able to get yourself a nice sort of solid platform to try and kick off. But Meaden lines it up. Solid strike, and it goes off to the left. Almost didn't have the distance again. And the number 14 for Georgia once again cleaning up like he did in the first half. Solid carry by him. I think that might be the last time we'll see the junior box go for poles. They've had two opportunities here. They're not particularly far, and Liam Meaden has not been able to. Kian Meaden has not been able to spot either of them. So it's a nice clearance from Georgia who get themselves up to the 10-meter line. So we'll restart with the junior box lineup. But yeah, I think it's just frustrating for the junior box that they haven't been able to really sort of get into this game, which is why they're going for the points. You know, trying to sort of work on seeing out a game and stuff like that. But they've just been completely bullied by Georgia in the first sort of 43 minutes so far. So they need to try and sort of a few things up. This will be the first time Andre Hugo Fenter, son of Andre Fenter, puts it into the lineout. Solid win by him. And they get a maul going, do the junior box. They're off to a running start, and it's been brought down illegally, so they've got a penalty as well. The Hugo Fenter goes himself, still going. It's a big hit on him. Gets up to almost the 22-meter, and it's a messy ball for Nico Steyn. Up and go from the junior box there into the 22. There comes Fenter again. Oh, it's a big hit on the Georgia defense there by Fenter. Nangiza, junior box making some nice progress here, working their way to the left. Here comes George Kinnear. And it's spilled off to the side. We'll go back for the penalty. The junior box having a penalty. They're looking much better. Probably the best passenger player I think we've seen from the junior box. Some really big carries there, getting over the advantage line, making some progress. Much better from the men in today, white and gold. So they've got a penalty right on 22 towards the right-hand side there. And Kian Meaden now kicking to the corner. As I said, I thought we might see the end of trying to go for those 3-pointers because it just wasn't really going for them. Much better more for them as well. As they got to a bit of a running start, Georgian defense wasn't really anybody home. And when they eventually did bring it down, it was illegal. So now the junior box under Hugo Fenter will throw into the lineup. They're about 8 meters out. Cool, maybe about 8 meters out. Away from the try line. 45 minutes to play so far. Nothing from the Georgians. They go to the back of the lineup. It's a solid win. And sack though. I think legally as well. It's a good sack there from Georgia. Number 12, Mkiza now carries it up. A solid hit on him as well. George Kinnear now. Pick up and go. Much better from the junior box. Couple of pick up and goes. They're making progress here. They're up to the 5-meter line. But it's been a penalty for Georgia. I think it was the number 2 that got over there. Brilliant turnover from him. Under a lot of pressure. Junior box maybe should have just not waiting before he was well settled there before going into the pick up a drive. And then the Georgian number 2 was on it like a flash. Very, very big player. Nice low gravity there as well. Solid one on the ground there. So Georgia will be able to kick themselves out of trouble. And junior box, that's another opportunity gone missing. You know, they've missed 2 kicks for goal now, going for the try and making a mistake there. That's a little bit of composure on the attack. It's not a great clearance from Georgia. They have a line out just beyond their 22. A couple of Georgian. I mean, they just get bigger. I want to see some birth certificates here because some of these Georgian players are absolute giants. Messy line-out win there from Georgia. The scrum half comes away with it. He's been driven towards touch. Replacement scrum half. And it's a knock-on there by Georgia. The replacement scrum half was under a lot of pressure. We'll have a scrum down here, which will be quite interesting with a couple of new front rankers on. You can see 2 penalties in the last couple of scrums from Georgia, but they have definitely seemed to be dominating them. So just need to try and dominate them from both sides. 4 handling errors so far in the game from the junior box, 2 from Georgia, which given the conditions is actually pretty impressive. I've been quite impressed with Georgia so far. I mean, 14 points at the moment against a decent box side. And I think that in many facets of the game, they've actually been better. They just can't sort of find a way to score points. Much better scrum from the junior box. A huge scrum. They go down the blind side as George Kinnear cuts inside. He's wrapped up by a few Georgian players, but it's available for Nico Stain to use. He leaves it behind. Knocked backwards was the call, but it's a very good defense here from Georgia trying to power through the ruck. Eventually available. Under Hugo Fenter this time, not carrying it up. Solid carry from him. Good from the junior box. It's Hugo Fenter making yards every single time he gets the ball. He's made a big impact so far as the reserve hooker. He's there, some good handling out the back. Number 14 cuts inside. That's Kern Kurtzer. It's been a very quiet game. Junior box right up to the 5 meter, and they'll go back for a penalty. I think Kurtzer just losing the ball forward in collision there, so the junior box will go all the way back to the left-hand side of the field. Interesting to see what they take here. There was a very, very solid scrum, so I think that will probably be a decent option. So with the new front rankers making a big difference. Andre Hugo Fenter has been brilliant since coming on. A couple of good carries, making progress every single time he gets the ball. Kern Kurtzer there had a very quiet game, hasn't had a lot to do. Both the wings, I mean, it's difficult when you're out on the wings. You know, you're not seeing too many balls being thrown your way. You kind of end up just chasing kicks the entire time. And Seeker stuff, yes, it is on DSTV. It's on 211 on the Super Sport Rugby. The junior box have gone to the corner, opting against the scrum. So Hugo Fenter will try and find his man, which he does. They go straight down. It's another very good sack from Georgia. They've got a penalty advantage, so I think he might have been taken out in the air. Thought it would look like a fair sack. Hugo Fenter now making himself available, and the Georgian players have come through to win it, but they'll go back for the penalty. A double blast, which means the Georgian player could be under pressure, probably just a talking to. Okay, so just the word is that he was taking it too early from the lineup there. You've got to let him come down. So junior box once again will go for into the corner and try and set up again. No sack there as guilty, and the junior box are going all the way. It's eventually come down. Hugo Fenter. Hugo Fenter can't quite get over. Good more defense so far from Georgia. Mkize now run. He's held up, trying to rip the ball in the tackle. It is available for Nico Stain, who goes back down the blind side. Hugo Fenter, this time riding the contact. A little bit upright and is driven back. Nico Stain has got it available. This time going to go down the right-hand side. Ball spills up to the right, and they'll go back for the penalty. I think it was in the maul. Number 7, I think it's the captain from Georgia who's going to be sent off here. Number 7 is going to go into the bin from the Georgia. Pity because there was a decent defense there, but collapsing the maul is the call. Just too many mistakes coming in from Georgia. And no, that's the home team. All right. So, Georgia now down to 14 for the next 10 minutes. It's Lasher Kostavi, who's into the bin for 10 minutes. Just guilty of being the last sort of penalty. You know, it's been a build-up of penalties here from Georgia, so the other card's been coming for a while, and he was just guilty of being the man who transgressed that a few too many times. So let me just sort out our timer here. A couple of Georgian subs now. Replacement hooker as well as a replacement prop. Very nice game, I thought, from the Georgian hooker. Looks a very good player. Hugo Fenter this time having a go, and number 19 has literally just walked onto the park and received a yellow card. That's another bad maul defense from Georgia. They got 2 men in the bin now. Literally, I don't think he's been on the park for 30 seconds. So that's a horrible way for him to introduce himself. Another penalty for junior box. It's in Kozoli Suditsa. You got a feel for him. He's literally just walked onto the park. First bit of play there, and he's in the bin. So 2 players in the bin, down to 13 on Georgia, and this should be game over, really. Going for the scrum this time are the junior box, as you can imagine, with 13 men. And this will probably be the turning point here. The junior box struggled to break down the Georgian defense, but with 13 men, there'll be gaps absolutely everywhere. And I think that the replacements are making a big difference for the junior box. Andre Hugo Fate has been very good since coming on. George Kinnear will lead the players very well here. Former captain of Great College, now captaining the SA Under-20s. 61 possession now for the junior box. That was only about 52 before half time, or at half time. So you can see it's been a big shift. The scrum's gone down, but George Kinnear picks up and goes over the edge. Has he been held up? No, he's not. The try is awarded. Captain off the bench goes over. 19 points to 0, and so will begin a very, very long 10 minutes for Georgia. They've done very well to last up to this point, but I think you do think that this will now be a turning point. Down to 13 men. Junior box immediately score a try. They'll kick this over nice and quickly, and they want a quick restart so they can try and have a go at the 13 men for as long as possible. But as George Kinnear has come off the bench, the sub's making a big, big, big impact. Andre Hugo Fent has been very good since coming on. The scrums are much better. George Kinnear now, nice leadership on there. Obviously brings a lot of physicality himself. It's a decent scrum. The scrum goes down as available, so George Kinnear has to go up. And eventually gets the ball down. Almost very good defense from the Georgians, but the SA Under-20 captain is just far too powerful. It's a much better kick there from Kian Meaden, who adds the 2 extras. 21 points to 0. 26 minutes left to play. Georgia down to 13 men. And this could begin to get a little bit ugly if Georgia don't watch their discipline. 2 men in the bin now. Number 21, who had literally just walked onto number 19, who had literally just walked onto the field, conceding another penalty, being sent straight back to the bin. So, got a feel for him. I mean, you waited 15 minutes to come onto the park. You get onto the park for 30 seconds and you get sin binned. So he'll only have about 15 minutes left on the park when he comes on eventually. The number 7 and the number 19 in the bin. So 2 forwards in the bin for Georgia, which will obviously impact their physicality. Means the scrums are only going one way. But for Georgia, it's about trying to slow down the next 10 minutes as much as possible. It's another grabble down the middle. As for the kickoff, it's well picked up there by the junior box, but it has been knocked on. That'll help with Georgia winding down the clock, but it'll be very difficult to try and win a scrum with just 13 men. But got to put a couple of backline players in here. Got to put it right underneath the hooker's foot and get it out nice and quickly because the Georgians are going to struggle at scrum time. Please do smash like on the video. Sitting on 2 likes to see if we can get like, I don't know, 10 likes before half time. Let me know what you're doing on a Monday. It's very strange to be watching rugby at 1 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. So thank you for coming and hanging out. Lots of rugby. We've got 2 Curry Cup matches on Wednesday. We've got the Springboks in action on Friday. We've got the Junior Box in action again on Saturday. Lots of international rugby. It's Ireland, it's Japan, it's Tonga, it's New Zealand, and obviously the British and Irish Lions will be taking on the Emirates Lions on Saturday evening. Big scrum there from the Junior Box. Georgia got to try and get this ball out. It's wheeling, so they'll have a reset here. But yeah, it's becoming very difficult. They've got to put that ball underneath the hooker's foot, and that scrum half needs to get it out as soon as possible because they can't withstand this South African scrum. He says 8 p.m. here in Perth. Well, good evening there from Perth. Heard that Australia's back in a lockdown, so if you are, then hope the lockdown's going well. Hope you're keeping safe. We're down now to just to level 4, as they're calling it. Curfew 9 p.m. All the restaurants are closed, all the pubs are closed, booze is banned. So I hope you've stocked up for this weekend. I know I have, but I know some people have been caught a little bit unaware. Kind of amateur hour. I mean, you should have known from South Africa now that the booze ban's been on the cards for a while. So if you don't have your beer stocked up for the Lions, then you can really only blame yourself. I mean, a big push already, from the junior box. It is early engagement there from junior box. Georgia thinking of taking it quickly, but then realizing they've got 13 men and want to slow it down a little bit. Tap and go from Georgia. It's a big carry from the replacement hooker. We have 3 days of wearing masks in public places, 2 people with COVID in Perth. Well, that must be nice. 2 people. 2 people in the entire Perth. We've got like 11,000 in Gauteng at the moment. I think it's actually more than that, just from yesterday. Very nice carry up from the junior box here. They've turned the ball over. They've got an advantage as well. Nguzulu goes to the wide there. And Kurtz has wrapped up very well there by the Georgian defense. They do have an advantage to the junior box, but so you can see trying to use the width immediately down with 13 men. Big carry there by the replacement lock from the junior box. They're up into Georgian territory, still got an advantage. Because stay now to go to the boot. We're going to put some of the outside backs under pressure. It's a solid take by the Georgian number 22, so they'll go back for the penalty with the junior box. Our tackle is the call. The penalty is on the halfway line towards the left-hand side of the field, so probably just sort of kick it down and have another go. And you can see Ngomezulu just trying to go immediately to the width. But I mean, the big thing when you have the 13 meters, you've got to run a couple of phases first. Literally 2 or 3 phases go out wide. 2 or 3 phases go out wide. You'll find an overlap every single time, even if you don't necessarily score from the first overlap. And that's what Japan were doing against the British Irish Lions very well. Literally a couple of phases in the middle and then going out wide, gaining 5-10 meters. A couple of phases in the middle, creating space out wide, gaining a few meters. And when you're down to 13 men, it becomes even easier. Fenta has another solid one. When looking, now he peels off the back. He's been very good, has the replacement hooker since coming on. Now looking to bring the back line in. Very well read from the Georgian defense. That's Meaden, who's wrapped up in the tackle. Going down the right-hand side again. Miller with another carry there. Big hit there from the Georgian captain. He's played very well so far as the number 4. And Nico Steyn, guilty of being a little bit slow on the ball, and the Georgians have come through and turned it over. They got an advantage for a knock-on. Very well played by the Georgians, and that's a little bit messy. Kerwin Hertz has got the ball through, but there was an advantage for a knock-on. So we start with the Georgian scrum, I think. Yeah. Nico Steyn, the man, just been caught on the ball there, the Lions scrum half. Also sort of breaking down a little bit, and the Georgian defense came quite quickly and disrupted him. I've actually been very impressed with Georgia. I mean, 60 minutes now, 21 points. They've come down here. They haven't played a lot of rugby. They've fronted up. They've been very physical. A couple of poor moments, but also some very good moments. And I'd like to see them try and get some points on the board because they've deserved it. They've deserved it. It's an interesting project as the Georgian rugby at the moment. We'll see their senior side in action on Friday, hopefully against the Springboks. But they're ones to watch for the future. We've seen how Japan are coming through. We're starting to start seeing more of the nations coming through. We can't just have a international rugby being with your 10 teams. We've got to try and get a good 15 teams in World Rugby. Try and get a good 20 teams in World Rugby. We've got to try and grow the sport. So teams like Georgia are very important. I think we've got quite a good working relationship because we often see the junior sides coming down. SS schools. We often have the Georgian schools team coming down here. We also have the SN20s and the Georgia Under-20s down here. Once again, looks a little bit like it's an early shove pushing in there from the junior box. We'll have a reset scrum. The rain is still coming down. Conditions are horrible in Stellenbosch. So if you're in Gauteng, brace, because I think there's a bit of wet weather on its way here. I heard that Bloemfontein is very wet at the moment. Bad news in the BOK camp. They had to cancel their media engagement for today. They're still waiting on feedback from the their medical committee, which is sort of advising them on all things COVID at the moment. After 3 players tested positive in the squad yesterday, those players being Spirit Corsi, Herschel Yankees, and Vincent Koch. Another reset scrum here. Looks like a solid hit there from the junior box. The big scrum by the junior box. I think Georgia managed to keep it though. No. Nico Staines come away with it. He gets up to the 22 for the junior box, right back on the attack. Hugo Fenter going himself. Oh, it's a big handle by him. He's burst through as Hugo Fenter. Inside ball to Nico Stain. Nico Stain goes through. That's a very good moment. Hugo Fenter has been absolutely massive for the junior box since coming on. So a huge handoff by him. Little inside ball to Nico Stain, who goes over untouched. Much better from the junior box. That's kind of what we've been waiting for. The try so far have been very, very scrappy, but that was very well worked. Nice big run from Hugo Fenter, who's been a nuisance to the Georgians since coming on. He breaks straight down the middle. Big handoff from him. Still has a lot to do, so he draws a couple of players. Inside ball. The number 12, he gets completely handed off. He's very aware of the space. Nico Stain comes inside. They've sucked in a couple of players. Inside ball. Nico Stain over, nice and easy. Very, very good work from the junior box. Much better from them. They've been sloppy, but they're starting to sort of turn it up now. The bench making a big difference, which, you know, you'd expect because it, you know, it is sort of your main players coming on off the bench. But it's probably a little bit worrying that the couple of the subs have taken so long to sort of get used to a couple of the fringe players not really standing up. I think, you know, Ngoma Zulu is very highly rated on debut stage. Struggled a little bit. G says first 10 minutes sound like the game maybe in the battle. It's good to hear the guys are toughing it out. Yeah, it was that first sort of 15 to 20 minutes was one-way traffic. Georgia were all sort of parked out inside the junior box half and were dominating in the scrums. Their lineups were looking good, and they just couldn't get points at the moment. So from the junior box, it's a nice lesson in terms of just sticking to your guns, you know, waiting it out, sticking in there. 28 points to 0. I mean, this is the Georgian side that was completely blown away by Argentina. So it's really good to see that they responded well and that they're making things a little bit competitive. Very much performance-based, I think, these sort of series. You know, it's yeah, I mean, first prize is to get the victory and stuff like that. But against teams like Uruguay and Georgia, you know, you want to see your players playing well. You want to see, you know, individuals growing. You want to see sort of combinations coming through. It's not really about, you know, how many tries can you score, but it's about, you know, can you execute your plans? Can you execute your set pieces? It's a very good kick chase there from the junior box. So right back on the attack, up in the Georgian half, but has been knocked on. I think it's Ngiza who knocks it on. It's a very contestable kick over the top by Nico Stain. So we start with a scrum inside Georgian territory. Argentina now arriving and warming up in the background over there. They're up against Uruguay in 35 minutes. We won't be live for that, but if you've got Super Sport 211, that game will be on. If you want to watch a bit of live rugby. Another scrum, and as I said, ever since the replacement front rows come on for the junior box, they've been all over Georgia. Georgia was very good in the scrums in the first half, but it's been one-way traffic in the second. Okay, they're from Georgia who won it off the back of the scrum. And they get themselves over the halfway line. It's a very nice carry there by the front ranker. That's a very, very nice kick there from Georgia. They're trying to say it went out and touch, but it definitely bounced inside. Very nice management there. There's a nice carry from them. Spot a little space around the back there. Has turned the junior box. Very good kick from them. Like I said, I hope Georgia gets some points on the board because I think they've deserved it. They've been very impressive at times. And they've given the junior box a tough match, and that's what you want. You know, it's a very difficult sort of challenge. They're not going to you know, beat you with the finesse, and they're not like a Japanese side who are full of good skills and very quick players. You know, much more on the opposite end of the spectrum. Very big players, lots of grunt, nice physical clash. So more here for the junior box. They've got an advantage. A couple of players going in from the side. It's Hugo Fent who's got the ball at the back. The whistle goes. They did have a penalty though, so a bit like the junior box in the first half, where every single time they got a little bit of territory, they just kind of, the discipline just letting them down a little bit. So it's been a bit strange how it's been quite reflective in the first half in terms of how Georgia were very good for the first half. The junior box have been much better in the second half, and Georgia are guilty of giving away far too many penalties. They've got both their players back on the field, though, so they are back to a full contingent. So that'll definitely help the cause. "13 penalties conceded by the junior box, 12 by Georgia," and you can see that in the first half there was about 11-6, I think. Oh, it's a poor error there from Mkiza, who knocks the ball forward. So Georgia back from the attack inside the junior box half. Sees a little bit of space behind us, the scrum off, so it turns a few players. Bounces favorably Unguzulu. And he finds touch. Still in this half on the 10-meter line, so it'll work out quite nicely for Georgia. We'll have a line out on the 10-meter. I think time off here. We've got a reserve. We've got number 21 coming on for the junior box. Bradley David, who replaces Nick Costain. I thought Nick had a decent game to Nick Costain. Sometimes guilty of being a little bit slow around the rucks, but apart from that, kicking game was fairly solid. Bradley Davis will now replace him and get a 12-minute hit out. Bowling more here from Georgia. Started off quite well, breaking off towards the right. And so the replacement hooker goes himself. Solid leg drive by him. He gets up to a few meters away from the 22. The replacement front row now. And they've knocked it on in collision. This is they're starting to look good. They've knocked it on. Number 8 has hacked the ball through, but they'll go back for the knock-on. So it'll be a scrum. Much like how it started, quite messy towards the end of the game at the moment. It's about 10 minutes, literally about 10 minutes left. Not too much left to play for, really. For Georgia, I suppose, can they get some points to the ball? They really deserve it, so I hope that they do. We have another scrum here, which will probably go one way. So it's been very much one-way traffic with the Springboks front row dominating the second half, much like the Georgian front row dominated the first. Yeah, look, I mean, if we think we're in for a pretty game of rugby on Friday with the Springboks Georgia, I think we've got another thing coming. It's going to be a very, very brutal game. Georgia are going to put in some big hits, and I think, for a team, if, you're worried about injuries and stuff like that, it's not a team you want to play against Georgia. They're very, very hard. Bradley Davis' first contribution is a kick over the top, sees a bit of space, and that'll bounce very, very favorably. It's a fantastic touch find by the replacement scrum half. So he gets the junior box from inside their half to all the way towards the 22 of Georgia. So Georgia pinned right back as we enter the last 9 minutes. They'll have a lot to do. They want to get to the other end of the field and try and score some points. Sideline win there from Georgia. Big hit on the replacement forward there by Andre Hugo Fenter. Now the man in the pocket. Goes quite low. Doesn't find touch though. So it's Delvin Blood, the try score in the first half. Oh, it's a brilliant step out wide. Is he in for a second? He cuts inside. Gets the ball from Bradley Davis. Ball inside to George Cornier. His second of the game. That's more likely from the junior box. Brilliant, brilliant handling. I don't think the Georgians even touched any of those players. Fantastic step outside by Delvin Blood. Inside ball. Very good continuity. A couple of very good offloads. George Cornier's come off. He scored a brace in the second half. Brilliant stuff there from the junior box. Much better. It was all created by the wing, Delvin Blood. Who lined up his man. Went inside there, went outside. Inside ball came to Bradley Davids. Inside ball to Bradley Davids. Then inside ball to George Cornier. Nobody in front of him. Fantastic handling there. And that's just the case of drawing the man and passing. It sounds so easy, but when they do it right, it's amazing how effective it is. So, Kieran Meaden will line up another conversion attempt. Looks good. It goes straight down the middle. And the junior box move up to 35-0 with 7 minutes to go. Game is done. Kieran Meaden, 5 kicks from 7. Those 2 kicks that he missed were the 2 penalty attempts. They weren't great. Dropping a little bit short was the first one. To the left was the second. But his conversion kicking has been very good. He's 4 from 4. Sorry, he's 5 from 5 from conversions. And Georgia would just move on to hear a final whistle at the moment. 7 minutes to play it. They provide a decent challenge. It got a lot easier for the junior box in the second half, but that first half was nice and close. Georgia really did push them quite a lot. Got Pino on off there for Golden. So Blaine Golden will get a couple of minutes out here. Here. Georgia now looking to keep it alive inside their own half. It's the wing. Matches a few players up. He's still going. Gets away from one. He's wrapped up eventually. Now the Georgian captain, the number 4, has been very good, very courageous as the from the Georgian captain. Number 21 asking for a couple of blockers so he can set up a box kick. Kick your head doesn't go out. So Muzulu gets Kern Hertzer down the right hand. It's a big hit on him. He's still going. Junior boxer up into the 22. Quick ball from Bradley Davis. Under Hugo Fenter, who's made so many carries since going on. Once again, makes a few meters. Quick ball from Fenter. Very good from the junior box. Now in Giza, from a standing start, doesn't get as many meters. Inside ball from Under Hugo Fenter, who loses it forward. They'll go back for a penalty. Good carry there from the junior box. It's amazing what happens. Oh, Bradley Davis taking this quickly. Hertzer fumbles, and then he comes inside. He gets driven back. Another pick up and go from the junior box. They've left it behind. And they'll go back for another penalty. Another penalty for the junior box. Really, really applying the pressure onto Georgia now. You can't really do much. And they've taken it quickly once again. Henko van Veek goes over. Try number 6 for the junior box. It's now becoming a little bit silly. Very, very easy. I think it was George Cornelius who took it quickly. They literally 1-2. Henko van Veek had all the space in the world. Dove over towards the left of the left-hand upright. And a quiet game has Henko van Veek. Very highly rated, as we said. Scored in the first half, scored in the second half. He's got a brace. So himself and George Cornelius walk away with 2 tries apiece. They'll be very happy with those things. But it's amazing how the bench has made a big impact for the junior box. When you think 14-0 at halftime, Georgia giving the junior box a little bit of a go, and then a couple of players, I think Andre Hugo Fenter and George Cornelius have made a huge difference in the second half. The kick sails over, 42 points to 0. Right, last 3 minutes here. Georgia once again along the floor goes under Hugo Fenter, who tries to pick it up. Eventually gets picked up and taken into contact by the junior box. Bradley Davis now goes over the top, kicks it deep. Henko van Veek was almost going for the interception, slips there, makes the big tackle on the Georgia number 22. He's everywhere at the moment, it's Henko van Veek. Big carry now from the Georges. They've been pinned back all the way to their 22. Now Georgia going to the boot, kicking it nice and deep. Zulu goes back to Bradley Davis. David sees some space down towards the left-hand side. And the bounce stays inside for the number 11 for Georgia, who has no option but to try and kick it up. You will find touch. It's not a bad touch finder given the lack of angle there. Casing it up himself to ensure that there's no quick throw as well. So you got to feel for some of these players. You know, they run up and down, they run hard all day. Had very little ball to do, had very little opportunity to attack and show what they're about. So the Junior Springboks will have a minute and a half inside Georgian territory to try and score another try. See if they can get towards that 50-point barrier. Andre Hugo Fenter will put those into the line. I think he's been one of the biggest catalysts for this second half performance. He's been absolutely immense. Carried it up a lot of times. He's made meters every single time he has carried it up. Solid line up there. They've got the driving ball going to the junior box. There's now goes to the midfield. Ngoma Zulu goes himself. Still going as he cuts to the side. Up to the 22 now are the junior box into the final minute of the game. Giza almost dropping it there, but taking it up himself. Davis now going to the left, sniping himself. Still going, ball over the top. Can't find a man though. The Georgia do have it back. Junior box piling into the rack to try and turn it over, but they can't. They're now going towards the blind side. They kick it ahead, and they do find touch. So we'll time for another lance, Jeff. So the junior box will have one more roll of the dice. Very nicely played by Bradley Davids. Good sniping run, but the ball's not going to hand over the top. It's a bit of a 50-50 ball. Kind of just sort of threw it over his head, hoping that somebody was following up and be able to grab it. Last few seconds, literally by the time this line is finished, the hooter will have gone and we will be into extra time at a time. There goes the hooter now. The 80 minutes are up, so but the junior box have got a penalty advantage. Davids goes to Mkiza in the midfield. He knocks it forward. He's knocked it forward a few times in contact, has Mkiza, the inside centre. He's tried to be very busy in the game so far, but has struggled a little bit with his handling. Had a lot of opportunities, but he's knocked the ball a few times in contact. Junior box have not had enough, so they kick towards the corner. They find touch about 10 meters out from the try line. One of the Georgian players down with a bit of cramp. Had a lot of issues against Archie in that first match with cramps. So the Georgians, I think, a little bit undercooked in terms of their fitness levels. It is tough to try and defend, though, for majority of the half, which is what they've been done. It's been one-way traffic in the second half. It was a very good first half from the Georgians. They tried very hard, but second half, the junior box have been all over them. Another rolling more here from the junior box. We're well into added time at the moment. The siren's gone a while, so if they can't manage to get this over, then it will be the end of the game. Bradley Davis does use it. Ngomazula trying to go back inside. Very muddy. Still going as he goes towards the touchline. He's eventually brought down 5 meters short. And it's a poor penalty to concede there from the Georgian number 14, who literally just goes straight over the ball. That entry was the call there. They'll go to another line-out here. I mean, just end this here, chaps. 42 points to 0, 49 points to 0. It's the same blooming result. I reckon we just call it here, shall we? Another solid line-out take. Early shove here from Georgia. And it's been lost forward by the box, so that'll be it. The man's back in the pocket, so I don't know if they just... Yeah, they've had enough. A bit odd from Georgia. We're still playing. Okay, well, I'll take it all back. Looks like the clock on the TV was wrong, so we're still playing. It looked like a strange decision for Georgia to kick for touch despite the game being over, but it looks like they've got time for another line-out. So who knows what time is actually on the board yet. DSTV says we're at 82 minutes here. Hugo Fento goes to the top. It's a bit of a messy one up for Bradley Davids. Mkize once again will carry it up in the midfield. This time he doesn't knock it on. Pick up and go there from the junior box. It's Esterhazen. Huge hit there from Georgia. Much better from them. Going to the left-hand side now. Zulu stabs him behind. Number 14 from Georgia is under a lot of pressure. And he'll carry it out. There goes the siren. So that is the final. That is the whistle. So final score here, down Stellenbosch 42-0. Georgia being outclassed by the Springboks thanks to a very, very big second half effort. Some big performances off the bench from the likes of George Kinnear and Andre Hugo Fento, which really made a big difference for Bafana Ntleko. It's 3 out of 3 in the pool matches in the Under-20 series. They will be playing in the final on Saturday. 1 o'clock will be the time, up against what should be Argentina, unless Uruguay do something special in the match after this. That'll be kick off at 3 o'clock. We won't be live for that, but you can go and check that out. Thank you very much for watching. Please do smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel as well, and we'll see you guys tonight for our live news.